Welcome to a video that I technically said I wouldn't make and technically should go on ranting, but really, I'm back in college, so I can't record as loud. I don't have as much time to play video games. So if I were to still be playing GG Sport, thus the copy not broken, well, that's the thing, I wouldn't really be playing anymore. Because the penalty system is still terrible. It's terrible in a different way, but it's still terrible. I guarantee 100% chance I would be boycotting right now. Because for those of y'all who still race, I very much salute your patience, but I think it's at a point of now where we just have to come to the realization that PD cannot fully fix the penalty system. It's gone from way too many penalties to no penalties. And it literally is pretty much no penalties. You have to downright force the issue, and sometimes that doesn't even work, to get a small penalty now in terms of aggressive. There's still track cutting penalties, but there should always be track cutting penalties. As far as what to do with contact penalties, well, before it was just give a penalty to everyone. That would never work because that just promotes dirty racing, because if both drivers get the same penalty anyway, one driver will just wreck the other and then still come out better because they have the same penalty, but one driver's wrecked and one driver's not, so that would never work. Especially for me, because I believe I don't want to be penalized for someone else's mistake, so that was the penalty system I boycotted. The one where both drivers got a penalty, even though one wrecked the other just blatantly. And then the next way they did the penalty system was this overly severe, the most recent one, the one that I haven't been racing in because my copy's been broken. That's not good either, because, while it may be a quote-unquote fair, it's just not fun. Even on my channel, back when I did race, and supposedly it's got more severe since then, there's at least 10 or so videos of me getting penalties that just straight up weren't deserved, and pretty much undisputed. So one example that I remember is a Group 4 race at Willow Springs Big Willow, and I'll try to remember the link in the description, that essentially I was running my line, not moving. There was a car on my outside and in Willow Springs, so there was sand on the inside. I couldn't move anymore. I had to stay where I was, and it was a full throttle part of the track. It was accelerating out of the last turn of the track, so there's nothing I can really do about how good of a run I get, because I'm going full throttle anyway with the car right next to me and sand on the other side. So there was one car behind me that overcooked it in the last turn, nudged me slightly, and then got a bit loose because he just accelerated too quickly getting out of the turn. That car nudged me. It didn't really hurt me any, but it nudged me and got loose because it accelerated out of the turn too quickly. So it got somewhat loose. It didn't even spin. It lost maybe half a second total. Not that big of a deal, but still, nonetheless, it definitely wasn't my mistake, and that driver already got sort of karma for it because they lost like a position from it. Not for me, it was already behind me from the start, but still lost like one position. But lo and behold, because it did lose a position from that, I got the penalty for it, because technically it did touch my car. But it touched my car because it was too aggressive. I did literally nothing wrong. I was going full throttle at a point where everyone else on the track was going full throttle, and I could not move my car. So it's side by side with another car. So if I moved to the outside, I'd hit that car. If I moved to the inside, I'd go into sand. If I were to slow down, full throttle part of the track, which is stupid to do in the first place, I would essentially be brake checking, so that's bad on all ends. And now it's worse than that, from what it sounds like, until it got fixed. Now it's, like, really now, this just happened like a week ago. Currently, it's arguably even worse than that. That goes to another example that's been on my channel before too, of just a straight up pinball fest. An example of this goes back all the way to GT Sport closed beta. And some of these clips I'm back at college, so there's less of an ability to. Plus, those clips are on YouTube now. I don't have the base clips anymore because I don't have footage of the game anymore. The game doesn't work. Especially the closed beta. The closed beta has been off for 2 years now. But closed beta, there was a clip at Dragon Trail Seaside where going into the first and second turn, just people braked at way different points, and just everybody pretty much wrecked into everybody. I ended up in the sand with like 2 or 3 cars hitting me, but nobody in the entire track got a penalty from it. Even though it was ultimately like a 7-car wreck or something like that. I'll try and link that video in the description as well. The thing with that, though, is that was the closed beta. And the penalty system was mostly track cuts only. Mostly. Now it's that again. The penalty system has reverted all the way back, at least from what I can tell, because I'm not racing, to GT Sport closed beta. The initial first attempt at a penalty system. But that's the penalty system that I've liked the best, and I've said it for 2 years now. I'd rather people police themselves, because if one person starts racing dirty in a race with 11 others, or realistically because people get disconnected from the bad servers and not that many people want to race anymore, like 6 others, still, one racing dirty against 6 others, the 6 others will probably get rid of that one pretty quick. But still, that brings back to my initial point of it's obvious that PD's still not going to be able to fix the penalty system. So now I think they've given up. They've essentially pulled a YouTube. YouTube knows that they can't make a good rewind anymore, so they just gave up. There's pretty much not anymore. It's just a generic top 10 list. PD can't make a good penalty system, so they pretty much just gave up. It's just a generic track cut penalty system. The reason I'm making this video is not even really a rant anymore, because I think PD's finally learned that they can't fix the penalty system, and it's obvious they can't. I wish they would go right out and say that, and I've said for them to just say that now for years. But I'll give them credit, at least they have done patches since I've said that to attempt to fix the penalty system. Just, it's failed every single time. But given that there are no penalties now, I wouldn't even call this an attempt. This is just waving the white flag, not in terms of 1 lap to go, just in terms of surrendering. But essentially, I think it's both. 1 lap to go means it's pretty much the end, and surrendering means, well, it's completely the end. Either way you look at what the white flag means, I think it's that. PD surrendering, trying to make the penalty system decent. They can't do it. And there's very little time left at this point. I don't really see PD working on GT Sport much longer, because PS5 is coming out, and there's been rumors, even on my channel, I did a video of it, from reliable sources. I think it's from Vice, the ones that do the questions from the internet thing, that GT7 is going to be a launch title. It may not be called GT7, but essentially be a Gran Turismo thing. And I still pretty much believe that. It probably won't come out at launch of the PS5, but I believe that PD wants to make it look like it's going to be a lot subtle because they've already done a lot of stuff with the PS5 and Gran Turismo Sport. They've already done something about its controller. They've already done the 8K graphics. PD's definitely making it look like that Gran Turismo is going to have something or another at the launch of the PS5. Will they get it out on time? Well, we know their track record with that, but yeah, they don't have much time left on a PS4 is essentially what I'm saying, so PD knows this, and they pretty much give it up at this point. The penalty system's not going to get good, but I think really at this point, it's at its best at racing. Of course, that's coming from me, that's someone with a lot of dirty racing background, willing to race eye for an eye and all that, take that as you may, as y'all have now for 2.5 years. But I don't think it's going to be anything major at this point, changes. They may try to tweak something or another because so many people complain about it, but ultimately the major changes I do believe are over that. Maybe I'll be wrong, maybe I'll be surprised, but even at that, I don't think I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. Even if PD somehow does manage to fix the penalty system to the point of it's decent now, why does it matter? There's so few people playing anymore compared to at launch. There's so little that actually matters compared to launch because the best of the best for a race pretty much is the same no matter how the penalty system is, because the best of the best are judged by real life people. It doesn't particularly matter anymore. The penalty system ain't gonna be fixed. We all just have to realize that now, because I think even PD themselves have realized that now. Is that a good thing? I'd rather this penalty system than a lot of iterations in the past, and I don't think I'm the only one who thinks this. It's the closed beta again, from what I can tell, and that's the part of Gran Turismo Sport, honestly, that I enjoyed the most. But in hindsight, what I enjoyed the most about the closed beta was the people more than the game. And someone even said that in the reviews of the closed beta, but I definitely realize that now. GT Sport is not all that good of a game, even this far in. There's still less than 400 cars. GT6 had 1,200. They're still not anywhere close to the amount of track that something like GT6 has. The physics, well, better, and the sound, well, definitely better. It's essentially just a polished turd. It looks good, but it's still a turd. I'd rather have an unrefined, old, rusty something good than a polished turd. Maybe that's just me, but in my opinion, that's kind of what GT6 was. Say GT6 was a rusty, old muscle car, and GT Sport is a polished turd. It's gotten more polished through the 2 years, but ultimately, it's still a turd. But for the past year or so, it's been stinking quite a lot like a turd. They've tried to make it smell differently, but it's still ultimately stinking. But now they've kind of just got rid of the smell altogether the best they can. Is it a downright remedy? No. But I'd rather have a less powerful smell than what it was in the past. Is that the best reference in the world? Probably not, but I think it's better than what PD can think of now. But at least it seems like they know this. Hopefully that just means now they move on to working on the GT7. It better not be GT Sport 2 that they're working on, or else I'm getting an Xbox SX, or whatever they're calling it now. I'm getting the next generation of it. At least PD realizes that their penalty system can't be fixed, but who's to say it can even be fixed on the next generation of console? If the next generation console is still focusing on the sport part of it, especially when the penalty system can't be fixed, and PD knows the penalty system can't be fixed, I'm just gonna play Forza, where, yeah, it's pretty much dirty racing, and very much accepted so. That's the thing, they've accepted it as so. And really, the better Forza at this point's Horizon anyway. And it's more off-road type racer or whatever, where you sort of kind of make your own race to begin with. So it is more no holds barred, and that's why it has been more accepted. Well, people do still complain about dirty racers and such in the Forza number games, the motorsport, whatever. Horizon's really where it's at now in the modern Forza games. And both system, Xbox or PlayStation, has Assetto Corsa and Project Cars and all that. So, if I really want a super simulation game, I'd just buy Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, or whatever. If I want something like the old Gran Turismos, I get Forza Motorsport. If I want something with as good physics as that, pretty much, but open world, I get Horizon. If I want something that looks pretty but is really terrible, I get Gran Turismo Sport 2 or whatever. I'm not even saying for GT7 to be good. I just hope it's a Gran Turismo number game. A lot of variety of cars, with more focus on the game itself being good than trying to shoehorn a community aspect into it and make it look like it's all simulation and such, when really, GT Sport, well, yes, it's the best simulation of the series, it's still not iRacing. It's to quit trying to be iRacing and continue being itself. It's still the leader of its niche. A wide variety of cars with a wide variety of tracks, simulation enough to where it still feels pretty much real. While it's not perfect, it's still a lot closer to real than their penalty system is. So they should just give up on the penalty system, because it seems like they are even starting to realize that, and just focus more on what the overall majority of fans want. Granted, it's less much of a majority than I thought it would be, and that's kind of scary, but still, the majority of fans want just a classic Gran Turismo. I'm not even saying good. I'm not even saying get the ratings of GT4. If it gets the ratings of GT6, I'd still consider that a success. I'm not even saying the game needs 1,200 cars, but if it can launch with like 800 cars, something like that, and instead of sport mode, just have like shovel racing or quick matches, or this is novel. Drifting again? Yeah, drifting still exists. PD seems to think it doesn't, but yeah, there's drifting competitions, that's a thing. They could do that. So, yeah, there you have it, folks. The penalty system ain't gonna be fixed. We just have to accept this, because I think finally PD even has. They're still not saying it, but they're showing it. And, I mean, maybe, just maybe I'll end up getting GT Sport anyway, because library currency's up in value. Honestly, I just have, depending on the day, $60 or so of it. So I can definitely get Sport, but should I give money to PD when they're not even putting money into the game anymore? We're still getting occasional updates, that's nice and such, but I just hope the money that I get for Sport actually ends up going into the next game. But the problem with that is the next game might be Sport 2. If I buy GT Sport again, and the next game is GT Sport 2 that they make, then I think I'm done with the Gran Turismo series as a whole. But if the next Gran Turismo harkens back to its roots instead of burns it to the ground, then maybe things can go back to old. Y'all can take that as you may, but in my opinion, things going back to old might be worth. Yeehaw.